betrayal, blackmail, and elder abuse inside the battle over Sumner Redstone. While the superannuated media mogul Sumner Redstone has been reduced to immobility and to poking yes, no, and fuck you buttons on his iPad, his 64-year-old daughter, Shari Redstone, has taken virtual control of the family's media empire with a vengeance. The younger Redstone, who was estranged from her father for years, is on a mission to make her new power felt, most recently forcing through the re-merger of CBS and Viacom, the two public media companies the Redstones control by virtue of their nearly 80% stake in the class of voting stock of each one. CBS's stock price has dropped from $70 to $49 amid the merger fervor, but that hasn't fazed Shari. She has stacked the board of Viacom with her friends and cronies. She has threatened to do the same at CBS if that board does not agree to a merger. She has handpicked Bob Bakish to be the Viacom C.E.O. He previously ran Viacom's international division, and has been trying to force the CBS brass to give him a meaningful role in the executive suite of the combined company as Les Moonves' heir apparent. Moonves reportedly prefers his own protégé, Ianniello. She has also stacked the board of the family trust, which upon her father's death will control the family's CBS and Viacom shares, to make sure she has 4 of its 7 votes. In order to implement Shari's plan to remerge the two companies that her father split 12 years ago, each company has appointed a special committee of independent directors, and hired bankers and lawyers to try to hash out a deal. Shari's current crusade to put together what her father intentionally tore asunder is just the latest chapter of a very long, Sumner is currently 94, and very ugly quasi-Shakespearean epic. There are so many versions of the truth swirling around the family, the lawyers who worked for them, Sumner's various girlfriends, paramours, nurses, and other employees, that it is nearly impossible to figure out what really transpired and why. There are a number of ongoing lawsuits, so the courts will be in charge of determining the truth, and who, therefore, should pay whom. Several things, however, are clear. During the many years Shari was estranged from her father, he insisted that she have nothing to do with the operations of CBS and Viacom, or their boards, even as his health declined. But Sumner inadvertently let his daughter back into the picture through 2 May to December relationships. Shari's opening arrived, unexpectedly, in May 2015 with the publication in Vanity Fair of a series of stories about her father's girlfriend, Cindy Holland, and his former girlfriend, Manuela Herzer, who each had been living with Sumner in his home in Los Angeles and apparently doing everything they could to keep Shari and her children away from him and his business empire, allegedly in keeping with his wishes. Sumner even changed his will to include Holland and Herzer as beneficiaries. Shari Redstone and her attorney Elizabeth Burnett photographed leaving an L.A. courthouse where she is being sued by her father's former girlfriend, Manuela Herzer, on May 6, 2016. Shari, perhaps in recognition that she needed to get rid of the two women to have any chance of reconciliation with her father, seized upon a revelation from the reporting, that Holland had been having a long-time affair with George Pilgrim, a former soap opera actor who lived in Sedona, Arizona, in a house she bought for him. Holland would often take Sumner's private jet for the day to go see Pilgrim in Sedona, before returning to Los Angeles to sleep in Sumner's home. That news upset Sumner, and led him to kick Holland out in August 2015. But Herzer, who had been living with Sumner for some 2 years, was still in the picture, and Shari apparently wanted to get her out of it. In May 2014, Sumner had also appointed Herzer as his co-agent, with a power of attorney, to make healthcare decisions on his behalf. The decision empowered Herzer to oversee the group of nurses that administered his care on an hourly and daily basis. According to a recently unredacted complaint Herzer filed in a federal court in California, the nurses resented her and her professionalism. The other co-agent was Philippe Dahlman, then the CEO of Viacom. According to Herzer's complaint, Shari set out to push Herzer out of the picture by bribing the nurses working for Sumner to spy on Herzer and turn Sumner against her, leaving Shari and her lawyers in total control of her father's care, his house, and eventually his corporate holdings. Herzor was eventually forced out as Redstone's de facto caretaker in 2015. Herzor is suing Shari and her son in federal court for at least $100 million in compensatory damages, as well as treble and punitive damages under RICO, a federal law created to help prosecute organized crime. The Redstone family has asked for the case to be thrown out. If Herzor's complaint is to be believed, there are serious allegations of duplicity. A group of contemporaneous emails included in the filing that were turned over to Herzor as part of her lawsuit against Shari and her son, Tyler Korff, lay out a disturbing narrative about how Shari got rid of Herzor and then took control of her father, ultimately resulting in the possibly impending forced nuptials between CBS and Viacom. According to Herzor's complaint, Shari's conspiracy to get Holland and Herzor away from her father began in September 2014, around the time that Redstone was hospitalized suddenly amid fears he might die. Herzor and Holland had feuded with Shari about Sumner's medical treatment, with Herzor and Holland prevailing, further irritating the already tenuous relationship between father and daughter. Shari and her son allegedly worked to circumvent them. According to Herzor's complaint, the first nurse that Shari Redstone and Tyler Korff bribed was Giovanni Paz. They allegedly reached out to Paz seeking personal information about Sumner and those around him. But Paz was reluctant, at first, because, like the others who worked for Sumner at his house, he was forced to sign a confidentiality agreement that prevented him from sharing the kind of information that Shari allegedly wanted from him. On September 10, 2014, Shari